Attention passionate Atlanta, Falcons fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC South and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Atlanta Falcons' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Atlanta Falcons fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Atlanta, FALCONS FANS. Let's get to the news now, folks. You know how the NFL offseason is always full of surprises, and this year the Atlanta Falcons are no exception. The team has been busy, even in the quiet months, making some moves that signal their intent to be serious contenders in 2024. You might have caught wind of the recent signings, the rumors swirling around potential targets, and the strategic shifts that could redefine the Falcons' future. And trust me, there's a lot to unpack here, especially if you're a diehard Falcons supporter like I am. Let's start by revisiting some of the key moves from last season. The Falcons made a couple of significant acquisitions that went somewhat under the radar, but are now looking more impactful as we approach the new season. Remember last summer, they signed Justin Simmons, a veteran safety with a wealth of experience, and added Matt Judon through a trade, bringing in a pass rusher who has proven to be disruptive. Those moves showed the Falcons were serious about bolstering their defense, especially in the front seven and secondary. Justin Simmons, in particular, was brought in to help stabilize that secondary, which has been somewhat inconsistent over the years. And while Simmons had his ups and downs in Atlanta, his experience and leadership are qualities that any team would value, especially as they look to rebuild and compete at a higher level. But, as we all know, the NFL doesn't stand still. The offseason is a period of strategic moves, and the Falcons are no different. Now, one thing that's been generating buzz among NFL insiders and fans alike is the possibility of the Falcons making a splash in free agency, especially among veteran free agents who are still looking for the right fit. And no, I'm not just talking about the usual suspects. This time, there's a real buzz about the Falcons potentially making a move for a top-tier wide receiver, someone who could transform their passing game almost overnight. You see, last season, the Falcons' passing attack, while promising in flashes, lacked consistency and a true game-breaking receiver. Drake London, as talented as he is, has yet to fully realize his potential as the primary target, and unless Kyle Pitts can become a reliable, consistent threat, the Falcons' offense remains somewhat one-dimensional. So the question is, who could really help change that narrative? Well, it turns out the buzz is about Keenan Allen. Yes, the veteran receiver from the Los Angeles Chargers, who, despite a somewhat down year last season, still has the skills, the route-running savvy, and the playmaking ability that could elevate the Falcons' offense to a new level. Keenan Allen, at 33, isn't what he used to be in his prime, but he remains a highly productive receiver when healthy. In his last full season with the Chargers, he caught over 100 passes for more than 200 yards. Even last season, in a challenging year with the Bears, he managed to haul in 70 catches for 744 yards and 7 touchdowns. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Isn't he too old? Can the Falcons afford him? Well, that's the thing. His cap hit last year was around $23 million, which is steep for a team with limited cap space. Right now, the Falcons have about $1 million available, which makes a big signing like Allen a bit of a stretch unless they get creative. But that's the beauty of the NFL offseason. Teams often find ways to manipulate the cap, restructure contracts, or make strategic cuts to create room for that marquee signing. And honestly, adding a veteran of Allen's caliber would send a clear message to the division that the Falcons are serious about competing now, not just building for the future. Imagine the possibilities. Allen's precise route running, his ability to find soft spots in coverage, and his experience in clutch situations could be exactly what quarterback Desmond Ridder needs to take another step forward. Plus, having a receiver who commands respect across the league would open up opportunities for others like London and rookie hopefuls to shine. Of course, it's not just about the offense. The Falcons have also been active on the defensive side, especially in the secondary. Justin Simmons' addition last year was a step in the right direction, but the team still needs to bolster that unit further. The secondary, after all, is the backbone of any great defense. And with some of the top free agents on the market, the Falcons might look to add another veteran safety or cornerback to complement their existing pieces. Now, speaking of defensive veterans, there's a name that's been floating around, Justin Simmons, who, after a couple of seasons with Atlanta, is now being considered by other NFL teams, with the Minnesota Vikings being a potential landing spot. Simmons, a player who made 3 straight Pro Bowls with Denver before signing with the Falcons, is still a highly talented safety. And as the list suggests, the Vikings could be looking to add a seasoned presence to their secondary with Cameron Bynum moving on and Harrison Smith nearing the end of his illustrious career. But let's get back to the Falcons for a moment, because as much as we love the idea of signing big-name veterans, the team's current cap situation makes it clear that they'll need to be shrewd. They are light on cap space, but that doesn't mean they're out of options. They can create room by restructuring contracts, releasing players, or even trading some assets to free up funds. The goal, after all, is to build a balanced roster that can contend now while keeping some flexibility for future moves. And speaking of roster needs, outside of wide receiver and safety, the Falcons are also looking at the defensive line. They have some promising pieces, like David Onyemata, who brings size and experience to the front. But overall, they could use more beef up front, especially as they face an increasingly competitive NFC South. The division is stacked with teams like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, New Orleans Saints, and Carolina Panthers, all of whom have been making moves in free agency and the draft to improve their squads. So the Falcons can't afford to sit still. They need to find ways to add depth and experience along the defensive line, especially with the possibility of some veterans becoming salary cap casualties as teams trim down their rosters. Now, let's talk about the draft and how it factors into this puzzle. The Falcons have some intriguing picks coming up, and they've been doing their homework on college prospects, especially receivers and defensive linemen. Drafting a young, talented pass catcher or a disruptive lineman could be a game changer, especially if they can find someone who can step in immediately and contribute. But they're also aware that free agency can fill some immediate needs, and that's why they're exploring all options, whether it's a veteran presence like Allen or a promising rookie. The coaching staff, led by head coach Arthur Smith, has been emphasizing a balanced attack, focusing on protecting the quarterback and establishing a reliable ground game. But they also recognize that in today's NFL, you need weapons, players who can turn a little space into big plays. That's why the potential signing of a veteran wide receiver like Keenan Allen is so intriguing. It's not just about adding another player, it's about transforming the offense into a more versatile and unpredictable unit. With Allen's savvy route running and ability to make contested catches, Ritter would have a true security blanket, and the entire offense would flow more smoothly. Now, I want to highlight something important. The Falcons have historically been a team that builds through strong defense and smart acquisitions. They've shown they can develop talented young players, but they also understand the value of seasoned veterans, players who can bring leadership and stability. The offseason is about finding that perfect blend, and from what we've seen so far, the Falcons are targeting exactly that. They're looking for players who can come in, contribute immediately, and help them climb the division standings. Looking ahead, the NFC South is shaping up to be one of the most competitive divisions in the NFL. The Saints, Panthers, and Bucs are all making moves, and it's clear that no team can afford to rest on its laurels. The Falcons, with their mix of young talent and veteran savvy, could very well be the division's dark horse if they make the right moves in free agency and the draft. Their window is opening, and with the right signings, whether it's a veteran wide receiver to boost the passing game or additional defensive help, they could position themselves for a deep playoff run sooner than many expect. And let's not forget about the quarterback situation. Desmond Ritter showed flashes last year, and while he still has room to grow, the team's investment in surrounding him with better weapons and a more complete team could accelerate his development. The addition of a player like Keenan Allen could be exactly what Ritter needs to take that next step, an experienced target who can help him read defenses better, find open receivers, and execute under pressure. In conclusion, the Atlanta Falcons are at a pivotal point. They've made some smart moves, shown strategic planning, and are now looking to make that final leap into genuine playoff contention. The potential signing of a veteran wide receiver like Keenan Allen might not only improve their offense immediately, but also send a message across the league that Atlanta is back in the hunt for division titles and Super Bowl glory. The team's management seems to be balancing short-term gains with long-term sustainability, which is exactly the kind of approach you want from a team that's hungry for success. We'll see how it all unfolds as the offseason progresses, but one thing is certain: the Falcons are not standing still. They're actively reshaping their roster, and the NFC South better watch out because Atlanta is coming strong. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Atlanta Falcons news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Now let us continue with the big reveal. And now, Atlanta Falcons fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on all these rumors, signings, and potential moves? Do you think the Falcons are on the right track? Would you love to see a veteran like Keenan Allen donning the red and black? Or do you think they should focus on developing their young core and building through the draft? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Falcons. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Atlanta Falcons news. This is your go-to channel for all things Falcons, and we're just getting started. Thanks for watching, and as always, keep that passion alive, because Atlanta Falcons football is back, and it's more exciting than ever.